So I just wanted to go over where the Nixiverse is at currently and basically the journey that we went on to define the roles and the purpose of those roles. So it's gone through a few iterations and we'll probably through a few more. It's definitely a work in progress. I think that's the benefit of Discord and building a metaverse in general is the fact that it's not set in stone from day one, and you really should open up and allow your initial community to shape the direction that it's going in. So in the other videos, I've talked about the fact that we've got the 5-star loner club. Everyone has access to all of the sections on Discord that make up the 5-star loner club. When you initially join the Nixiverse, you receive the Nixian role, and that is what gets you access to that 5-star loner club. So I'm just going to pop some of the channels here as an example to see what people gain access, people are interacting with. So from there, there has been a process of defining some of the other sections of the Nixiverse, and originally we were playing around with these names. So we've got the laboratory, we've got the arcade or maison. So that was meant to be like a gaming space, or a space for gamers. Because of Nixie's audience, she has a lot of followers that are actually gamers. Then the other section was going to be a reference to cathedrals or a monastery. That was going to be, again, focused around marketing aspect. So that was the naming conventions. And then we had the maison, again, repeating the maison, bit of branding, bit of uniqueness there. The atelier or a workshop. Those were the names I was throwing around. And last but not least was the treasury. So I've mentioned before that the cathedral was focused around roles that were complementary to people who wanted to promote and market themselves and build their own social media following. The idea behind that was that we needed people to come in to help us promote the Nixiverse. And we thought that if we created a role, we could actually gamify that process and make it fun for the people who are part of the Nixiverse, especially people who enjoy it, being part of the 5-star loner club and wanting to get more of their friends involved or just get more people involved, and in return they would gain XP and be able to level up through the star system. Anyway, we trialed that. There wasn't that much interest, so I've shifted that around and we've ended up with more of a focus on the monastery being similar to a library. So I'll add that in here. Based on the Nixian feedback or the community feedback, we found that people were actually interested in storytelling, coming up with their own stories and engaging in stories. So laboratory, again, that is focused more on the elements of human connection and building a friend that is a digital friend and interaction with artificial intelligence. So that's where the laboratory concept comes into play. The arcade is for the gamers. The cathedral was around the marketing concept. And so instead of focusing on marketing, we shifted to this concept of storing knowledge and storytelling. And so I ran through a number of different ideas for the role name. I went with priest, evangelist, abbot, librarian, monk, clerk, or cleric. And I think the tough thing was, in my mind, I wanted to have it very balanced. So the names had to be of a certain length, the names of the areas of the Nixiverse. And then also the names of the roles needed to be balanced as well. I just, for some reason, I don't like the idea that the name of the area starts with, let's say, here with the cathedral. I wouldn't like it if the cathedral had a clerk and both of those names start with a C. Maybe I'm just a bit, I don't know, ADHD about that. Um, so, yeah, the names, I'll show you what we settled on in the end. The other part was this workshop or a creative space where I'm looking for people who are interested in being creative visually. Originally, that was going to be the Maison, and then it changed to Atelier. And I was throwing around the idea of it being a workshop. And the role for that space initially was the builder role. Now, from again community feedback, someone would acquire the builder role, they'd come in, they'd start being really interested in 3D, creating a virtual realities, virtual spaces, and found that people were struggling with that because it's quite a bit of a steep learning curve initially. So instead of focusing on people having to acquire hardcore skills in programming or 3D modeling, we transitioned it and turned that into a designer role. So effectively, what we've got along the bottom here is now we've locked in laboratory and with the scientist role. We've got Colosseum with the gamer role. We've got the monastery with the bishop role. The atelier, which has the designer role. I don't know. I think the designer role may change because designer, I don't know. The number of letters. I have this real thing of balancing the length of the names, and I'd rather the shorter names the better. I did go with atelier and some of these other location names. I'd love to go full hardcore into something a bit more. I guess what would you describe it? Using French words or Latin words, and really coming to a point where we branded everything to the nth degree. I just found that for people who are new to this space, if you have too much fancy terminology, it just goes over people's heads, and they're unable to remember exactly what parts of the Nixieverse relate to what subjects or which parts they will find their interests. So I tried to have a balance here. Again, this is all a bit of a evolving universe. The treasury was initially focused with the clerk role, which then turned into the hustler role, and we were filling up its vaults with information, videos, tutorials on how to create income online. And I thought that might be something that the Nixie's audience would be interested in. But after, again, seeing most people, they're not actually interested in self-promotion or building up their own social media platforms. You know, they might have social media, but they don't necessarily want to get 1,000, 10,000 followers. And the same thing with the concept of making money online. Some people, or most people in the Nixieverse, are there for the escapism and to explore and to discover and to have a good time and to connect with people. So rather than focusing the treasury on the idea that people can, learn how to make money online and educate them around that, we've transitioned it to being focused more on a treasury in the sense that depending on the star level status that you have acquired by leveling up inside of the Nixieverse, each of these star status will give you access to different vaults within the treasury, and those vaults ultimately will have some form of a gift or reward. So let me just grab a quick screen grab from each of these, bring them across. So that's what the vault or the treasury currently looks like. I haven't populated these yet. So that's what I'm currently working on. We have to come up with some rewards for people who do unlock each of these vaults. And Nixie's probably going to share different sets of her cosplay in each vault. That might be that's just one example of some of the things that we could do as a giveaway. And then for the atelier, this is focused more on that design of a virtual space, or V-space as we are calling it. Then we've got the monastery with the bishop role. I mean, this could change towards library. Well, actually, it has a library channel. So the library channel will be probably where we store, you know, lore and stories that are more official, maybe ones that Nixie has written herself, whereas the other channels will be open to the community to design and co-create together. So then we've got the Colosseum. And last but not least, we've got the laboratory. And that's it for now. Of course, again, it's evolving, so things will change.